You know what's something I really miss about music from the 60s and 70s? Vocal harmonies. What happened to them? No, I know, they still exist, I get it. I mean, okay, here's 4 albums of totally different genres that all came out in 2023 that I think feature lovely vocal harmonies. But as we move further away from the age of bands and deeper into the age of the individual artist, as intricate chord changes and rousing melodies are swapped out for beats, rhythms, and vibes, it seems like the decision to work out 2, 3, or 4-part harmonies is one that many popular artists don't even bother with. And if they do, it's often done conveniently via a software plugin, low in the mix, and buried beneath layers of heavy production. Back in the early years of pop music, there just weren't as many ways to add texture to a song like we have now. Blending and building up multiple layers of vocal harmonies was a means of filling out your sound with the distinctiveness and beauty of the human voice, and personally, I find it very effective and often moving. And if you know me on here, you'll know that that era of music just hits the spot for me. I'm all about it, you know? But I'm also an ardent lover of contemporary music as well. So last year, when I was digging around for more of what 2023 had to offer, I happened to stumble across a new album by a band called the Lemon Twigs. And the name of that album was Everything Harmony. Having not heard the Lemon Twigs music before, the title piqued my interest and I decided to give it a listen. I don't know if it was after my first or second spin of the record, but I knew I had found my album of the year. Similar to when I discovered the artist Wiseblood and her astonishing record Titanic Rising in 2019, listening to Everything Harmony was like falling in love again. With music. And I hadn't even fallen out of love with it, but this album was able to so specifically pinpoint my musical sweet spots that it was like rediscovering a lost love. A fun fact that I later discovered is that the Lemon Twigs themselves played on Wiseblood's Titanic Rising. So who the hell are these guys? The Lemon Twigs are Brian and Michael Daddario, 2 brothers from Long Island, New York, who were brought up in a musical household, aided especially by their father Ronnie, who's been playing music professionally for decades. And he raised them on the right stuff as well. Here's a video of them playing a decent cover of the Beach Boys' Wild Honey. They were clearly very talented kids, and this love for 60s rock extends to the Beatles as well. Or the 2 Bs as Brian calls them.
The 2 Bs. 2 Bs in my life. The Beach Boys. Yay!
Their love for the Beatles is clearly evident in their music videos too, which are laced with references to A Hard Day's Night and Help, plus this obscure 1973 interview with John Lennon. And not for nothing, but the physicality of their playing is very Beatlesque. Which I really enjoy as well. It seems like most bands always go for the affected, very nonchalant look when they're playing, but the Lemon Twigs are full of exuberance and energy. I love it. Brian and Michael excelled not just in music, but in all shades of performance, both featuring in TV shows and Broadway musicals before they even hit high school age. Their first album, 2016's Do Hollywood, was created while Brian and Michael were just 17 and 15 respectively. Produced by Foxygen's Jonathan Rado, it covers a smorgasbord of genres, spanning doo-wop, glam rock, and bedroom pop with an overall vibe of early 70s Todd Rundgren, who funnily enough, in 2018, went on to feature on their follow-up LP, Go to School. This was a rock opera about a chimpanzee raised as a boy. A bit of a left turn for the brothers, really leaning into their Broadway theatrics and storytelling on this one. Then their third album, 2020's Songs for the General Public, returned to the melodic songwriting of their debut with the extravagance of their sophomore effort, moving into full 70s power pop territory a la Wings and Big Star. What all 3 albums have in common is a penchant. They're all stylistically diverse, with each song on each album leaping from one genre to another. And the overarching connective thread is that the Lemon Twigs music has more in common with the songs of 2 generations ago than anything from today. I mean, check out the sticker on the cover of the Everything Harmony physical record featuring this quote from Iggy Pop. I love listening to vocalists like the Lemon Twigs, who can really bring forth that old sort of pop rock sensibility from the early to mid 60s. But this isn't simply a lazy pastiche. The Lemon Twigs have an incredible ability of making their music sound new and alive by extracting the elements of the 60s and 70s and infusing their distinct originality, boundless creativity, and above all, highly skilled musicianship.
Brian's like one of the best guitar players I've ever seen in my life. Like he can do anything.
These two brothers are insanely talented musicians, with Brian learning classical guitar from the age of 12, Michael fluent in drumming, but both are able to tackle virtually any rock instrument thrown at them. On their records, they not only play nearly everything themselves, but they have also become notably impressive songwriters, and it is just the two of them writing and composing all of their music. And it's not just Iggy Pop either. The list of famous Lemon Twigs fans covers musicians young and old. Plus Cillian Murphy. I just discovered these guys last year, but listening back to their previous albums, you can hear a clear artistic progression. These two brothers, brimming with musical potential, have been evolving and improving at breakneck speeds, and that is where we arrive at their fourth album, 2023's Everything Harmony. According to older brother Brian, the album's influences include Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, and Arthur Russell's compilation album Iowa Dream. As with their other material, Everything Harmony remains stylistically diverse, but with a sharper focus and stronger sense of cohesion. Gone are the glam rock synths and flighty energy of their previous album, as the Twigs invite us into a sonic landscape of stirring yet delicate melodies, sweeping orchestral arrangements, and best of all, beguiling harmonies that more than ever embrace the combined strengths of the D'Addario vocals. This is something I need to emphasize. The Lemon Twigs can really sing. No affectations or trendy vowel mushing.
And I look across the water. Say all the words.
Just pure, expressive voices singing clearly from the heart. All of the above praise that I've just heaped on this album is evident in the opening number, When Winter Comes Around. It starts with a gently plucked acoustic guitar playing chords. I know that might not sound impressive, but a song that features 8 chord changes within the first 26 seconds before the vocals have even come in is really rare in 2023. The tune is immediately reflective in tone, both hopeful and regretful at the same time, as Brian sings of a leaf that returns in the fall that no one can recall when winter comes around.
When winter comes around.
And I know that's the name of the song, but there's something very autumnal about this album. There's references to changing leaves, and many of these songs emit a golden glow, a kind of analog warmth that doesn't often find its way into modern recordings. This is likely due to the fact that the Lemon Twigs recorded and mixed this album to tape, a more old school and costly process than recording digitally, but it allows for those acoustic textures to radiate beautifully, adding a timeless quality to the overall sound of Everything Harmony. When tackling vocal harmonies on their previous albums, each brother would usually overdub their own voice on whichever track they sung lead vocals on, but this time, a la the Beach Boys, they made use of that family blend to the fullest extent as Michael's dulcet tones join his brothers in the second verse, increasing the song's sweet yet somber mood.
There's a voice divides the flame.
Then at around the halfway point, the song breaks into a chorus of voices supported by organ and a reverb-soaked snare, recalling the thunderous power of Bridge Over Troubled Water. From this magisterial opening, we then move into Rubber Soul territory on the song In My Head.
In my head, in my head, I am different.
This recalls those mid to late 60s pop ballads, complete with jangly guitars, a melodic bass line, and those dreamy vocal harmonies that lift the song into one of the most musically exuberant moments on the entire album.
And I'm afraid strangers pass you.
As a contrast, the lyrics are neurotic, reflecting a kind of identity crisis, as Michael sings,
In my mind, there is sadness all the time.
In My Head, to me, also recalls that 90s jangle pop revivalist sound of the 60s with the trebly 12-string Rickenbacker guitars that sparkle and soar. It's very The Byrds. It's essentially a love song to 60s pop, and a great example of how catchy the Lemon Twigs can make a song about dealing with depression, basically. On track 3, we move away from upbeat despair and into the warm and seductive Corner of My Eye.
Let's write.
This song lulls you into a gentle stupor from the soft brushes on the drums, romantic acoustic guitar, and upright bass. But the most enchanting element of the songs are definitely the vibraphones played with resonators.
But when I've got you in the corner of my eye.
That gentle warble is another subtle touch to the sonic aesthetics of the 1960s. The timbre of Corner of My Eye is so soothing, you just want to melt in the warm glow of this song forever. And that's a testament to the album's production. For the first time on a Lemon Twigs album, the two brothers were listed as the sole producers, which is kind of insane that at their age, they're not only terrific songwriters and musicians, but they have the undervalued skill of arranging, mixing, and making those heavenly sounds in their heads come to life. The following number, Any Time of Day, fully leans into the album's title and blasts you with harmonies straight out of the Bee Gees playbook. Any Time of Day recalls that 70s Todd Rundgren vibe of their previous albums, but with a newly sophisticated approach. The instrument to pay attention to in this song is the bass guitar, particularly during the bridge. It darts around the melody like it's got a life of its own before shifting into the final chorus where we're met with an electrifying key change. Last year I was lucky enough to see the Lemon Twigs live in Melbourne, and watching Brian play this deeply complex bass line whilst also singing lead vocals and barely looking at what his fingers were doing was frankly mind-boggling. Like, these guys are the real deal, I'm telling you. We return to that bright jangle pop sound, but with a melancholic twist on the next track, What You Were Doing, which explores one side of an argument steeped in the narrator's insecurity.
How can you do what you do?
The mid-60s feel of the Byrds and the Beatles' Rubber Soul combine with a darker mood of 90s grunge, featuring a dynamite bridge that I always find myself coming back to. Michael's drum fills on this track display so much of this young man's personality too, and it just gives this rather affected song so much spirit and liveliness.
How can you play?
That 90s alternative rock aesthetic is explored in the last third of the track, which breaks down to its bare elements before a triumphant guitar solo tinged with regret fights its way through the gloom that threatens the rest of the song. But the despair that's been lurking around the fringes of the album fully envelops the next track, I Don't Belong to Me.
I don't belong to me.
Coming from the point of view of someone simply trying to get through their day, seemingly in the throes of depression due to a breakup or loss of a partner, or perhaps it's an identity crisis, as the line is written specifically as, You don't belong to you, I don't belong to me. With its funeral march tempo and somber piano melody, the mood is only slightly abated by the call of a French horn acting like a beacon of hope, accompanied by some more subtle vibraphone. A delightfully wistful acoustic guitar melody opens the next track, offering hope that perhaps we've turned a corner, but then Michael D'Addario's vocals come in to shatter that illusion.
Every day is the worst day of my life.
That's also the name of the song, and these lyrics are the only words that feature, being repeated over and over until eventually closing side 1 of the album. But hey, with such an enjoyable melody, it's hard to feel too depressed that every day is the worst day of your life. Side 2 opens with the Baroque pop juggernaut, What Happens to a Heart, where our narrator laments opening their heart up to someone and the pain that inevitably follows. This features a powerful and expressive lead vocal from Brian, as the Lemon Twigs' own wall of sound brings this song to a mighty close. We're then brought back down to a gentler mood with the deeply Simon and Garfunkel sounding Still It's Not Enough.
Don't climbs up the buildings on the east side.
This is a rather beautiful ballad where the two brothers' voices intertwine over arpeggiated acoustic guitars.
I will know that at least I tried.
Tender drumming and evocative strings.
Still it's not enough.
The poetry in the lyrics and the soulful singing of the Daddario boys is multiplied by the overlapping vocals in the closing coda, a la God Only Knows.
Streets and the bar and the heavyweight champion.
This is what I mean about harmonies and layered vocals. It takes effort and a lot of finesse to pull off something like this. Starting small again on the song Born to be Lonely with acoustic guitar and pensive French horn before very Beatle-esque harpsichord and drums enter the equation. But then we switch from, I believe, 4/8 time into 3/4 time as the song ascends into a grand waltz with tasteful mandolin tremolos and frickin' sleigh bells. Those sleigh bells, man, they colour the song with that Phil Spector wizardry or like a Brian Wilson arrangement for the modern age. Eventually a euphonium is added in along with lavish strings and angelic vocal harmonies. It's giving theatrics, it's giving opulence, like some kind of fantastical ball in a Yorgos Lanthimos film.
I have friends that don't need.
Shifting gears completely, the sparkling Rickenbacker guitars return on the up-tempo song Ghost Run Free. Which to me is really reminiscent of that late 90s guitar pop sound on songs like She's So High.
She's so high.
That autumnal feeling is felt again with an added dose of psychedelia with the opening lyrics, clouds of gold, leaves of brown, cosmic echoes all around. Ghost Run Free finally returns us to that euphoric feeling of In My Head, but with even more gusto. As effervescent falsetto harmonies, buoyant drumming, and another dynamite key change allows this song to absolutely soar, ending in a vocal harmony that sounds just like John, Paul and George circa 1967. With only 2 songs left, the album's title has proven to be self-evident with some of the most wonderful harmonies heard on a rock record in years. But then we arrive at the title track, which acts as a kind of credo of the Lemon Twigs themselves, with lyrics like, I like the hair when it's flowy, and I like the song when it's dreamy.
And I'm so obsessed, led into everything harmony.
And I'm so obsessed with Everything Harmony. I really get a big Ben Folds vibe off this song actually, which is instrumentally rather sparse compared to the other tracks on here. It also ends with repeated vocals that feel almost like a mantra.
All the times I tried today.
The final song on the album, New to Me, begins just like the opening number with only Brian's delicate voice and his acoustic guitar playing a beguiling melody with tender lyrics in the verses.
When your face is new to me.
Before the Twigs go full Pet Sounds and layer multiple vocal harmonies in the chorus, which just explodes with feeling. The verses return with a dreamy organ playing underneath Brian and Michael, whose voices mesh in such an angelic fashion that if you close your eyes, you could be ascending to a higher dimension.
You can let go of them all.
I said that this album made me fall in love all over again with music, and it's almost as if the Lemon Twigs have given me permission to do so, as Everything Harmony closes with the two brothers repeating the line,
We can fall in love again.
If it wasn't already obvious, I am completely obsessed with this album and this band. I mentioned earlier that I saw them play live, and it was honestly my favorite gig of 2023, and I saw Paul McCartney in the same week. It was just something electric about being in an intimate venue, shout out to the Corner Hotel, and watching these incredible musicians bursting with energy, leaping around on stage, doing high kicks, bantering with each other, and effortlessly playing the music that defined my year. And just when I thought they couldn't win their way into my heart any more than they already had, they came out to perform their encore, and what did they play? A Beach Boys and a Beatles song. And they didn't just pull out California Girls or something everyone would know. They played a note-perfect cover of This Whole World from the Beach Boys' 1970 album Sunflower.
When girls go mad at boys and go, many times they just put it on a show.
I was literally speechless. And then they launched into Hold Me Tight from With the Beatles, which absolutely brought the house down.
One so hold me tight.
For years I'd been wanting to recreate that opening scene from Across the Universe, and now, finally, I've done it. Being someone who makes videos focusing on artists like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, I read comments all the time on my videos like, that was real music, not like these days, no one makes anything good anymore. But the truth is, you've kind of got to search for music like this. If it were up to me, the singles on Everything Harmony would have shot straight to #1 and the Twigs would be enjoying the success and accolades that are given to, I'll say it, far less deserving artists. But that's just the music business of today. I do hope though that the general masses find a way to embrace the melodic guitar pop and soft rock that the Lemon Twigs are so adept at playing, because I think if they did, they'd really enjoy it. A criticism I've heard about the Lemon Twigs music is that it's derivative, and I have two responses to that claim. The first is that there's nothing inherently wrong with deriving your sounds from the music that came before. I mean, find me a popular modern artist that is truly doing something that can't be traced back to an older, more influential artist. Olivia Rodrigo made an excellent album last year that sounds a lot like the pop rock stylings of the 2000s, but you know, this generation deserves their version of that as well. Quality aside, everything you hear is derivative of something, unless you're into like the most avant-garde experimental noise music, which would never get played on the radio anyway. And that leads me to my second point, which is that there's a difference between lazily ripping off a retro musical aesthetic and actually creating something new from those foundations. Trust me, I have heard so many artists and bands that are clearly inspired by 60s acts like the Beatles, but 9 times out of 10, they fail to bring anything new to the table, getting stuck in the cul-de-sac of derivative cliches without revealing anything fresh or interesting. The Lemon Twigs, on the other hand, never failed to make that vintage style sound as original and alive as it's ever been. And hey, another thing in common with those older bands is their prolific release schedule. Instead of taking some well-deserved time off after such an amazing album and tour, the Twigs currently have a hot new single out, followed by a brand new album later this year. Side note, I love the music video for the new song My Golden Years. Love that it features some members of the touring band as well. I don't know how big these guys dream of becoming, but in my book, they're making all the right moves to become one of the greatest bands of their generation. So what are you waiting for? Go and find your heart's connection and fall in love with the Lemon Twigs. Hey everybody, thanks for watching to the end. It's been a minute since I've talked about a modern band, but I really wanted to give this album its day in the sun. If you like the way I discuss music and want to see more from me, I have a Patreon where you can see a bonus video every month, or for a few dollars less, you can join my exclusive Discord where I occasionally do Q&As and interact with my followers. It's a real hoot. So if you want to join, the link is somewhere on the screen. It's the weird black and white blob, or it's just in the description. Let me know what you think of the Lemon Twigs. Let me know what you think of this album. What are your favorite songs? What do you love about it? What do you love about their previous work? Or what should I be listening to next? I will be back soon with another video, but until then, bye!